In this video, I'll answer the question, should we ever interrupt a client in a coaching session? We have been trained as coaches to create space for our clients, allow them to think out loud, to deeply contemplate their situation, explore it in more depth. Much of that comes with letting the client do most of the talking, right? I've done videos in the past about the proper client-coach ratio in a coaching session as being something like 70-30 perhaps, or 65-35. So in a situation like that, it might be difficult for us as the coach to ever consider interrupting the client. Seems like a huge no-no. Well, I'd like to discuss it in a little more depth and explain the nuances of why you might interrupt a client sometimes. Because while it may be a no-no, it's not something that we always want to avoid. Let's say you have a client who is a talker. And when I say a talker, I mean a talker. They could go on for 5 minutes without taking a breath, stopping to see what you think, moving to another phase of the conversation. They just keep on talking. And you start to realize that they're in a rut where they don't actually seem to be uncovering anything new, gaining any new insight, going deeper on the topic, but simply just almost talking in circles. You see that they're repeating themselves. That might be an opportunity for you to step in and say, excuse me, I just want to interrupt you for a moment. And the reason why is because I feel like you might be now recycling some of the thoughts that you had earlier. And perhaps we could find a way to move you forward in this conversation towards the outcome you wanted to achieve. When we interrupt a client, it's good to interrupt with a stated purpose, not just interrupt with no stated purpose, because then the client might not really understand why you're doing that, and they might be turned off by it. And we certainly want to limit the number of times we would interrupt a client, even with a stated purpose, right? So that would be one time where we might do that. Another time when we might do it is a little bit different. So the client is speaking, and you notice that the client goes off on a tangent. Something has triggered a thought in their mind to start talking about something else. And so they go on and on and on down a tangential path that you know as the coach is probably not leading us towards the stated outcome that the client said they wanted to achieve in the beginning of the session. That would be another opportunity to interrupt the client and say, excuse me, I just want to interrupt you for a second because I feel like what you're talking about right now might not be in relation to what we want to work on in this coaching session. What do you think? And so then we turn it back over to the client to have them think about whether this actually is good conversation or tangential conversation. It's probably not relevant and pertinent for what we're trying to achieve. So that would be another reason why you might interrupt your client. So those are two reasons why we might interrupt our client. Another reason we might interrupt our client is when time is drawing short. We know the session is coming to a close and the client is going on and on because they're a talker, they're greatly involved. And in that case, we might interrupt and say, excuse me, I just want to interrupt you and let you know that we're starting to come towards the close of the session. I want to respect and value your time and leave some time for us to wrap it up with some insights, some next steps, etc. Would that be okay with you? Most of the time, when the client gets to a situation like that, and you know that by allowing them to continue talking, you may actually have to truncate some of that valuable closing section of the coaching session where you can really have a good exchange there about what they've gained out of this coaching session and whether you did make progress, meaningful progress towards their outcome. So those are 3 different occasions when you might interrupt the client. I'm not saying that we want to do it often, and in some sessions we might not do it at all, but there are times when it could make sense. I hope these are helpful to you as you consider how to become an even better coach. If this has been helpful and you have your own thoughts about when you should interrupt a client or when it might be okay to interrupt a client, please put them in the comments below. I'd like to see them. If you have questions, please email me at michael@bayareexecutivecoach.com. And if this channel is helpful to you, please like the videos, comment on them, and share them with other coaches who can benefit from this content. Lastly, if you'd like to learn about my upcoming in-person executive coach training and certification program, now would be the time to get more information because it's coming up soon and the opportunity to enroll is limited. You can find the link to more information in the comments below in the description of the video, or you can just go to bayareexecutivecoachtraining.com. Thank you very much.